What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Amy and I are back again. As promised, I said we would do other bands from that poll. I'll get the poll up on screen again because obviously on this poll you can see on screen, obviously I mentioned it in the last video, Amy and I did Tool. We did Tool the Pop because obviously it was the most requested from this poll, and Gojira came in a close second. So I was thinking in my head, from the tracks that I've listened to from Gojira, what would be a good intro track. Don't want to jump into the deep end too early. We just did Vola Head Mounted Sideways, which was something I hadn't heard before, so I didn't know if it was a deep end track, but it was, in terms of heaviness, not a deep end track, but in terms of kind of technicality and stuff, it probably was. So Gojira, The Gift of Guilt is what we're going to be doing today, guys. There is obviously a live video as well, but we're going to do a lyric video because Gojira are a French band. They do sing in English, but why would you have preferred French? Really? Okay, well they do. I actually don't think they do any French at all. That would be cool though if they did have a track that has some French in it. Please let me know. I've done quite a few and I've never heard French. But this one's called The Gift of Guilt. Gojira are, one, known for how heavy they go. Two, they are quite environmental. They're environmentalists. Like, they're really conscious of all that kind of, you know, environmental movements and stuff, and you know, very, very focused on, I suppose, building a planet up and making sure that we don't destroy it. So that is a really cool aspect from their lyrics. This track does kind of touch on that. It can be probably interpreted as them directly speaking about global warming. It's about guilt. I
can kind of like guess by the title.
Yeah, The Gift of Guilt. Yeah, and obviously you have the globe in the background and everything. But yeah, you don't need to pay too much attention to the lyrics, but they are quite clear. Joe DePlantier, the lead singer, is also brothers with the drummer in the band, and the drummer is widely renowned as one of the best drummers of all time. But that is probably a decent enough intro to Gojira. We're just going to jump in. I think this one's good, has heavier parts, and it has also melodic parts, which is why I think this would be a good track to introduce Amy to. So yeah, let's go. Drop a like in the video if you want to see more Gojira, and let's go. So you don't need to pay too much attention to the lyrics. You don't need to pay too much attention, but if you want to keep up with it, just see if you kind of like the sound of the band. Can I just say before we go in here, remember I was saying in the last track about
how like this one has more of a beat?
Yes, well, it's the rhythm is a lot easier to follow because it's like, listen to the snare drum, you know, when it hits the. What do you think? Be honest.
I feel like I'm going to get so much hate.
Obviously not. No,
I actually just don't like this at all.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
No, but like, I feel like there's never been a song that I haven't actually really liked.
Okay, well maybe.
Like, I like the instrumental. I think
you don't like his vocals.
Yeah, I don't like the and there's no I kind of need it to rhyme. I
Yeah.
feel like the lyrics have some sort of...
Well, no, that's a
whatever.
very valid point. I mean,
And I
like,
feel
it's
like
not
it's just
exactly
too,
a
like-
fucking... It's a lot for you, like...
Yeah, it's too... I just, like, wouldn't listen to it.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't get
See,
me to listen to this.
Me, personally, I've, like... This, to me, is maybe one of their heavier tracks, because their heavier tracks are, like, heavy. Like, they're supposed... Like, that.
Yeah.
You're getting what you come from with them, whereas this kind of, like, I feel like sits on the edge. It's not going the full way, if you get me. Like, this,
Yeah.
like, trust me, if you hear another one of the few other tracks, you'll know. But I suppose maybe Gojira are like a band that you have to have heard a few more tracks now. Don't get me wrong. The reason why I do choose this track is the chorus in it. These vultures from the... That part is actually really catchy. When I heard this first, I didn't fucking...
Yeah, I feel... When it came up, I kind of felt like
Yeah.
I knew it.
There's probably elements of this track
Probably
that you
heard you.
will like, but I completely understand. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, like,
Yeah.
I completely get it, because I wasn't the biggest fan of Gojira. After a while, I heard, like, these were a few of the kind of first tracks I'd done, but I'd already done quite a few other bands, so I was already knew what I was getting myself into, and I've just become so accustomed to that kind of scream. I've never been the biggest fan of the growly kind of screams, like
Yeah.
that kind of singing as well, but the part I love about this track is somehow Joe Plante finds, like, there is a melody to it. You may not cop it straight away, but if you did happen to listen to this track, maybe in the background, because I know sometimes if you're not going to like it on your first listen, you might not go back to it, but if you did ever happen to hear it again, the chorus kind of brought me into this track, and now this is one of my favourite tracks, purely because of how catchy or melodic the whole chorus is. Like, it's almost like a pop chorus in a rock song. You'll eventually maybe cop it, but we'll keep listening. But very valid points to start off with.
See, like, I don't mind that.
What?
Like, I like the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
instrumentals a lot.
Well, it's a starving our face. The final core is gone. Our sins are all over and over again with slow. We're sick and tired when this wind blows. The reflex is insane. We must forgive and stop blaming ourselves for this now.
I remember when I first heard this.
Huh?
When I first heard this band, I loved it. Like,
Yeah,
the real, like,
yeah,
that's, I think I'd never heard anything like that before. It's called, like, they call it a Gojira slide, but it has its own technical name. But they use it so much that people started to coin it the Gojira
What is it?
slide.
It's a guitar? What is
It's
it?
like, I think they slide their fingers up and down the
Oh,
frets. I
yeah.
think they go woo, something like that.
The time has come. These vultures from the past come in. In all the hills and worlds, the time has come to leave us from their eyes. I'm leaving this behind. The gift of guilt. The gift of guilt. The gift of guilt.
You hear that, like, the... Do you hear that in the back of... You hear that this part? You might hear it again. I'll put... you hear that?
Yeah.
That's actually
drum
his
pedals.
yeah, they're his feet. Like, he's really known for how like quick he can go with it, but like that's something when you kind of get used to the sounds, you'll maybe maybe not like this. It won't make you appreciate the screams or anything or the growls, but I found that with this kind of music, when I started to understand the different sounds I was hearing, it made me appreciate what they're actually doing, because they keep one tempo with their hands, and then they're also going like, they could be doing like this with their hands, but then their feet are going like
Yeah,
which
but
is
that's
really
what I was
impressive.
saying. Like from the start, I liked the
Instrumentals is all like the guitar, bass,
like from the
drums.
start I enjoyed that, and if it was maybe like if the lyrics were either different, like rhymed more, or if it was in a more like sing song.
Yeah, of course. Well, like you're
but like the instrumentals I can't fault. Like I really enjoyed them.
Okay, and that's I mean, like, thankfully you're being like no one's gonna want to watch you sit here and be like, oh yeah, like they prefer because that's what makes these videos interesting, is because like even hearing you say that, I was just so of the opinion that you'd love this, because
that's why I was kind of like
because like I've come from maybe like I don't know what it is, but I came from like started with Tool. Remember we did Tool, and like Tool was definitely a lot more like the one that we did. Tool definitely don't bring the heaviness to these guys' level, and they do have screams throughout, but it's definitely a lot more watered down in terms of how heavy they get. They're still brilliant musicians and they're excellent in their own right. Tool are, but Gojira are just kind of I'd say borderline a different genre. Like it's still the same. It's a subcategory of the same genre, if that makes sense. So, now that I think of it, like if we start from the last video with the pot, which was Tool, we'll call that your first video, like your first time listening to it. Like I was doing like the pot all Tool's discography. I did like their entire discography first, like 50 tracks, and I feel like you do kind of build up a tolerance to certain levels of heavy. Like you might hear one track might be a bit too heavy, and then you tone it back a bit, and then you might listen to and you might listen to it again and again. And I think you just kind of naturally, because I at the start didn't like screams and all that kind of stuff, and people just said, don't jump in too early. Like this is literally what people have been saying for months, like, oh, you'll eventually kind of cop it, like eventually it will start and you'll start to kind of want more. When you hear like the same of everything, when you hear like, you know, a certain level of heavy, you start to kind of maybe want a little bit more. Now there is everyone's cut-off point, but I was just kind of assuming because it has that melodic part in the middle, it would be the kind of the part that, you know, you enjoyed of the track. But ironically, it was the part that you least enjoyed, which is interesting to me as well, because, you know, I have my assumptions of what other people will like, and I just kind of treat you as my like my test subject to like what not normal people but what, like, you know, what tolerance level well, not even average, but like it's not even someone outside of the genre that I'd listen to or we listen to would think of a certain track. So maybe I was just completely off the ball there, and I think sometimes your vision can get clouded. Like in the last video I was kind of laughing at, like, remember the Tool fans that I spoke about in the last video where I was like, they're really overzealous and everything. I was that person to you, like, because I was like so trying to get you to like them.
Yeah, I see loads of people commenting, they were like, you're one of us now.
But that's literally like, even not trying to be that person, I was somehow being that, even by just showing you the track and being like, yeah, let's do a Tool track. It's just, I am that person. But I suppose to try and keep the video fucking short, it's gonna be like another 20-minute video. I just can't stop talking. This is what I mean. I just keep talking about like the bands that I like, and then people are like, alright, Drew, she gets it. But what do you think? So overall, you like the instrumentals?
Yeah, the lyrics and singing not so much. Yeah,
completely fair point. There is tracks of Gojira that I've personally said that I don't like because of the screaming and everything, but
I'd be interested then, like, to hear another one of their songs to see if, like, I'm still just not into it, like if it's maybe just this song, or it's their way of how they like their vocals.
See, now I'm like stuck. Do I go, because they don't have much lighter tracks than this, do I go to the deep end and just give you the heaviest track they have? Because like there's still really cool elements in there. It's not just like brain poundingly heavy. It's like, it's still very technical and it's quite good music. But now I'm kind of stuck. But I think the lyrics I can appreciate in this, or the vocals in this I appreciate, because the screaming and what he's talking about, there's so much passion in it. I think like it just adds that bit of passion to it, I think, when he's screaming, because it's about like the planet and everything, and he's really passionate. So that I'll give a pass for, with the growls and stuff, for the screams, because it's almost like he's so passionate about it that he's just screaming at the top of his lungs. So that's what I can find, and I think that's why I've grown to love this track as well, is because there is so much passion in it. Whereas I wouldn't usually be the biggest fan of all the growls and everything and the screams. So yeah, no, definitely interesting points. I'm glad that you came clean and didn't just say that you liked it for the sake of the video. I'm sure people will appreciate that. As always, I always know that when when you watch a video and you can just tell like someone's just not being 100% with it. Like, but yeah, I think that's going to be wrap up the video, guys. If you do want to see more Gojira on the channel, do let us know. Obviously, maybe we'll leave it to you guys to. I was going to say maybe we'll do like the Art of Dying now, but I won't even bother. Maybe some of you guys have been in the situation before where you've tried to jump in with a track like this and then they've just turned around and been like, nah, it's not for me. So what did you go to next and did it work? So let us know in the comments what we should possibly do next from Gojira. Let us know. I'm starting to doubt Meshuggah now because that's just not going to work if she wasn't into this. Because Meshuggah is another fucking level above this. Like, Meshuggah just doesn't implement any form of melody into their tracks at all. It's just fucking... But maybe. We'll see. Let us know in the comments, guys. Drop a like in this video if you did enjoy. As always, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. We're signing out. Take care of yourselves. Cheers.
Bye.